On today's episode of the No Bad Days podcast, we have the ever so charming Ashley Glazebrook. Ashley is one half of the dance group Twist and Pulse that won the Britain's Got Talent Champions competition. Recently becoming father to the beautiful Tilly with his partner Liam, Ashley is not only an amazing dad, but he is an advocate and an inspiration to many out there that are thinking about same-sex parenting and surrogacy. In today's episode, we're going to dive into Ashley's childhood, growing up in South London, his life all the way through BGT, coming out as gay, and his story through surrogacy. Sweet. So, Ashley, thank you for coming in for a trim today and being on No Bad Days podcast.
No, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure to be
Yeah,
here.
it's always amazing to have you in, man. Like, your energy is just so infectious and stuff. So when I see your name on my booking list, it's always going to be a good day, man. So thank you for coming in.
No, it means a lot. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no. So we're going to kick off today with basically just talking about BGT for a little bit. So life before BGT, sort of tell me a little bit about Ashley before BGT.
Yeah, so I'd say I used to do gymnastics when I was little.
Okay.
So I'm going from like hobbies, like I'm trying to think of like what I did when I was younger. But I remember my dad tried to teach me like football and stuff because my older brother Oliver, he was like natural at football. Like he put a ball to his foot and he was just sick already. Like he was good. My dad tried that with me, and I think I fell over. It just wasn't the one. And then he gradually put me through all these other things, and then gymnastics was the first time I would say that I just was natural at something. Do you know when you find something as a youngster and you're naturally good? It was gymnastics. So I'd done that for like 3 or 4 years, from like the age of 8 to like 11, 12.
Wow.
And I feel like I got to like a decent standard. Like I've done competitions and everything like that. Then I had basically like a little fall when I come out of it, and I didn't ever go back to it. It just made me scared, kind of thing. Then I naturally just crossed over into dance because, like music for me, it's just such a passion of mine. Like I just absolutely love it. And obviously that's when the passion for dance came in, because I was just constantly listening to music. There was always music playing in like my family household.
Okay.
And just within the area I was like growing up in, and all these new sounds and genres were.
And what was the music of your youth, would you say?
The genres of my youth, I would say, was straight like R&B, grime, dancehall. Yeah.
And is that from being from South East? Because obviously, as we spoke about, I'm from South East. You're from South East. So is that from your area, or is that from your parents or your brothers? Or?
Yeah, no, my dad definitely wasn't listening to grime. but my parents are definitely listening to like soul, Motown, Michael Jackson, all them, like Boyz II Men, all of those type of sounds. But then as soon as I met my friendship group within my area, they was introducing me into like Sean Paul and Elephant Man and Wiley and Titty Strider.
Boy Better Know.
Boy Better Know and all them. I was just like, this is mad. Like it was such like a new sound. And I just loved it instantly. And ever since then, it's just been like, my genres.
And that sound came from the youth of pretty much the South East. When you think back to it, we grew up, we're similar sort of ages, and we grew up in that era where it all sort of started to boom.
When like grime was basically created around those times, like from Wiley and all them was just making instrumentals and beats, and next thing you know, people just started MCing on beats and then along with that came people dancing to it and freestyling and stuff like that. And when you got into dance, what would you say was like your inspiration whilst you were dancing to the music? Who was out there that you was like, I want to dance like that? Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson,
Like obsessed.
Okay.
Like how am I watching the Michael Jackson Thriller music video and all of them are just dancing in time. Like honestly, it blew my mind. I was like, how? Because I had no idea and concept of dance and choreo and how people move together. When I used to see like the Smooth Criminal music video when he's in the suit and everything was so pristine and tight, it actually blew my mind of like, how are all these people dancing at the same time doing the same move? I was like, how is that even possible? And obviously Michael was like, he's a legend. And even the way he moved and his shapes and stuff. It was just, I was just fascinated, and it just blew my mind instantly. And then obviously you had all the other films that started to come out, like Honey and You Got Served, where they just brought the best swag ever.
Yeah.
And it just, I'm so happy that I found dance, because it become obsessive instantly. It's all I could think about at school. I'd be trying to like do my work in class, and all I could think about was, like creating new moves and routines and meeting up with my friends and like mixing music. And my brain was always music and dance all the time, constant.
And that's where people that are at the top of their game, that's where you're separate from other people in that sense. So we've had Gianni on the podcast before, and he said before he was obsessed with gym.
Yeah.
The moment he stepped into that gym, it's like something clicked, and he was in school and all we could think about was gym. And for you it's dance, and like Lionel Messi and Ronaldo. Yeah. If you're not obsessed with it, you're not going to be amazing at it.
No, so true.
You almost have to make it your number one priority. Yeah. So yeah, thank God you did get into dance, because look at, do you know what I mean? Like, look what's happened now. So
yeah, it's mad. It literally just happened so naturally as well. Like, I fell out of gymnastics, and literally just, my mates. It was around the time when like there was a few moves that started to become like the in-trend moves. Like, if you could do the moonwalk, you were a G. Or if you could do the crep walk, that thing when you do with your feet. Yeah. I remember some kid doing it at school, and I was like, and everyone was like, oh my God. Yeah. I was thinking, no, I'm going to do that. And I remember I just like taught myself.
And is this in Thamesmead?
Literally in the streets of Thamesmead.
Yeah, nice.
But it was so good, because that's what felt so real. Like, we were literally just out and about, just playing music on our phones at the time. Well, just about. I think it was even before that. But yeah, and people were just teaching people certain moves, and we'd go to like school discos. There was like a youth club thing that had like a Friday night party, and people used to have dance battles, but people were doing like, if you could do the moonwalk, you won the dance battle. You won it. Yeah.
And at what point was it, going through dancing, that you met Glen?
So I didn't meet Glen until late. So I went to the Brit school, and that's where I met him properly. Like, so I was 17, 18 at the time when I met him, which was quite late really in my dance journey. But it's funny, I knew of him a couple years before I went to Brit school, because I was in the dance crew and so was he. He was like Catford area and I was Thamesmead. So when we were younger, like, to go to Catford was long. It was like going to France. Like, I couldn't go there. Yeah.
It was out at the end.
Yeah, it was at our house. I wasn't allowed. But when we started doing dance competitions, he was there. Glen was there with his dance crew, and then I would rock up with my dance crew. And dance back then in groups and stuff, me and Glen were literally the only white people that were dancing. Really? So it's like, we saw each other, I was like, wow, there's another white person. Like, how's it going, mate? Yeah. Like, keep doing your thing.
And for those that are listening, Glen is the other
Pulse.
half. Yeah, he's Pulse.
He's Pulse from Twist and Pulse.
So,
but even that, we didn't actually know each other. Okay. We literally just like see each other.
You see each other.
How's it going, mate?
And then, is that street dance at that point?
Street dance. Yeah, at that point it was just all street dance competitions within the UK. We done one in Vegas. We done like a world's one, and both of our groups managed to get through. This was in 2009. Wow. So I think that was my first year? Yeah, that was my first year of Brit school. So like, we had met then, but yeah, we'd done that in Vegas, and then the next year we actually made kind of Twist and Pulse more of a thing.
Because I didn't even know you went to Brit school. Like, my best friend went to Brit school, and he actually went to Brit school with Loyal Kana, who we'll bring up later on. And some Jessie J, who was in the same year as Jessie J, and Adele, and people like that. So I think Brit school's got a lot to answer for, man. Like, it's produced some incredible people, and it's sort of just sitting in the background, like producing these incredibly like confident performers.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I think there's a lot to say about the Brit school. Like, you've come out of it.
Yeah, it's weird because like, you've got all these names like you've just listed that have come out of Brit school, which Brit definitely helps 100%. But at the same time, I think it takes a certain person to apply and get into Brit school and then go on to do their thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like the only free college, like performing arts college in the UK. Like all the other ones, you have to pay or get like a scholarship or something like that. Yeah. So like the audition lists for like all the strands there are endless. But if, like you said earlier, if you get into something and it clicks for you and you become obsessed with it, then you're going Brit school and you're getting in and you're making something of
that's
yourself.
your story,
you know what I mean?
that's your journey.
Yeah, for sure.
So then from that point onwards, so you've seen Glen, you've seen him about, you've seen that he can dance.
Yeah.
At what point is it that you become Twist and Pulse? Where does it go from you being in Vegas dancing and stuff, and then you seeing Glen, and then tell me the story from that point up until the moment you walk on stage at BGT?
Yeah, so obviously we knew of each other at dance competitions. Then we met at Brit school. I remember my first day, and like he didn't know I was going, and I didn't know he went to the Brit school. So I basically was a year behind him. We're the same age, like same school year, but I'd done sixth form at my previous secondary school for a year because I had no idea what to do with my life, and I didn't know Brit school existed until my other friend told me about it. So I started a year later. Glen was there, and I remember him seeing my face, and he was like, "Yeah, like yeah, okay, like what, you're coming Brit school, yeah?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we were in the same ballet class. It's so funny. So I was in the bottom ballet class because I just joined. I've never done ballet before, so I'm going to be in bottom, which is fine. But they merged the 2 years together for like ballet and jazz, was it? Or just ballet maybe. And like Glen was in my class and he had been there a whole year before me. So I was like, why is my man still in the bottom, still in the bottom ballet class? But it was nice anyway because we were both in the ballet class together. And I remember that's where we really clicked and like we bonded.
Both being shit at ballet.
Literally both being shit at ballet. So that's where we really clicked. And then we had a college show, and this was actually contemporary, so it must have been ballet and contemporary class together. Our teacher, Julia, shout out to Julia. She's incredible.
I feel like everyone's done a shout out so far.
Oh no, shout out to Julia. Julia knows. We've still got a move that we do on stage now. We've done it since the beginning. And it's Julia's move, and it's still here, and she knows it. Like, she's a legend. But yeah, we were creating. Well, she was creating a piece for the whole group, the whole class of like 25 of us. Me and Glen were like two of the boys in it. I think there was only like 2 or 3 boys. And she just asked a few of us, so does anyone want to make up a few counts of choreo to go into the contemporary piece? And me and Glen were like, oh yeah, like we'll do something, like if that's all right. We went back to Glen's house that day, made up a body popping routine to the contemporary piece, so completely like not contemporary dance, and we edited the soundtrack, like the music, and made it sound all like.
And was that you?
Me and Glen, literally at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that was another thing. Sorry, both of us before we met were mixing music like for our own dance group. So there was always one person that mixed the soundtracks for like you to perform to, and Glen was doing it for his people, and I was doing it for mine. So when we kind of met, that was another like love and interest of like, we mix music and we love it. And I mix music in a certain way that he didn't, and vice versa. So we was teaching each other quite a lot. So we've done that, took it back to to Julia, our teacher, showed her, and I remember her laughing her head off. And I was like, as I was doing it, I was thinking, why is she laughing? Like, but like laughing in like a good way, but like we wasn't doing like cheeky girls at this point. It wasn't funny. Like we were dancing sick. And she was laughing. I was like, what's going on? And I remember at the end, she just said like I'm so happy because it's so good, but at the same time, what have you done to my piece?
Yeah, you've just ripped it up.
Because literally it was pure contemporary, and we remixed the track and we remixed like all the moves, but she literally loved it. And we performed it in Fairfield Halls in Croydon. And yeah, we was wearing a black t-shirt, pretty much what you're wearing today. Black top, black shorts, and literally bare feet. Like, imagine like Twist and Pulse bare feet, like it's mad.
So that was almost like the first performance.
That was the very, very first, like we had nothing else at that point. We didn't make up any like jokey elements to it, like the comedy. None of that was there. It was just like 4 counts of body popping, waving, in our bare feet. And the crowd in Fairfield Halls went wild.
I've played Fairfield Hall and it's big. It's a big place.
It was like a roar of noise.
So at that point, what was you called? What did you call yourself?
No, there's no name. It was just
Glen
like
and Ashley.
No, it wasn't even that, because we was a part of the whole class. And it was like, next up is Julia's contemporary piece. Everyone was like, ah!
So then, when did Twist and Pulse get created after that?
Yeah, so then after that, so that was the first time we made up something together. and everyone went mad. And then the teachers again said, "Oh, do you want to make up something for the end of year show, like just you two?" So lunchtime started, because when we was at Brit, we didn't. What am I trying to say? We didn't learn and study street dance. It was only ballet, contemporary, tap, jazz.
So that was like in your own time.
In our own time. Mm-hmm. So lunchtimes we just started making up different like sections to like songs we liked at the time, and then all them lunchtimes basically was working towards the end of college piece, and that piece we made was our BGT audition.
No way.
And we didn't even know it was our BGT audition because we just made it for the college show, and we still didn't have a name. I still remember the running order on the door of college, because we was all standing outside and they make you run the show as if it's on stage. And it had the breakdown of all the names of the numbers, and then it got to our number and it just said Cheeky Boys.
Cheeky Boys.
Yeah, and it even had boys with like a Z on the end, because it was really cool.
Yeah, gangster.
Yeah, proper gangster. It might even have BOI, Z, boys.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was Cheeky Boys, and we were like, oh, as if they've put us up as Cheeky Boys, because obviously we had the Cheeky Girls section in there. Then we performed it at the end of year college show, shut down. Like, I'm not even like raving about ourselves. It was mad. Like, do you know when like something just works?
Just clicks.
Yeah, and we didn't really know how it was going to go down. I still remember doing our dress run, and it was the first time we were showing it to anybody. And at this point it's like two lanky teenagers shimmying towards each other to the Cheeky Girl song, dancing to EastEnders, like headbutting each other. And we're thinking, we think this is hilarious, but like, we think we're funny, but you know, sometimes you think you're funny and like everyone else thinks it's dead and you're weird. So we was a little bit worried about that, but we just done it. And I remember, the first dress run, everyone went mad. And it was like this like feeling, like this buzz of energy, like, nah, something about this feels very, very good. It feels very, very right. Done the show, shut it down, and then everyone's feedback was just like, why are you not auditioning for Britain's Got Talent?
Really?
Because the year before, Diversity, Flawless, George Sampson, those three were the first kind of public knowledge of UK street dance.
Okay.
Like on TV, mainstream.
Yeah.
And we were already doing street dance competitions with all of them. Like, we was already going against each other, like in the underground scene. And then they obviously in 2009, the year before us, they obviously done it. So it's fresh in everyone's brain. We're like, you literally just created a masterpiece. Like, this needs to go on BGT.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we led up to that.
It sounds like, and I'm sure the viewers are definitely going to correct me if I'm wrong by saying this, but I've read somewhere that Disclosure, the artist, their first album was their GCSE project, and they got together and they created this absolute musical masterpiece. And it was just like this sound that no one else had really heard, and they found like Sam Smith, and they'd done all this incredible stuff, and they gave it to their sort of like tutor and was like, what do you think? And he was like, this needs to be seen by the world. And that's what that sounds like to me, with like you was doing this on like a low scale and performing to a people, and it was the people that kind of went to you like, more people need to see this, like. And it's interesting that like we was of that generation where they were like, this needs to go on BGT. Like, not like this needs to go on YouTube, this needs to go on here, there. It was, this needs to go on BGT.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the power of BGT at that time as well. Like, when you was on it, that was like the absolute peak of BGT.
Yeah, it was.
Even like our cameraman Joe was saying, as you walked in today, he was saying, I voted for you on BGT. Like,
yeah, mad. Love that.
Everyone from our area of South East knew you. Yeah. And I remember your story of like working in it was B&Q. yeah, you worked at B&Q, and like it was that thing of like he said it on the
audition.
On the audition, it was like he works at B&Q, and then it showed a clip or something. I was like, oh my god, that's where my dad buys grass from. Like, and then everyone felt connected to you in that sense that like you was from our area and you was one of us, and like everyone was rooting for you. And I feel like that's when Britain's Got Talent was at like its absolute peak.
100%.
And it was real artists doing real things. And
it's raw. It's just raw talent, literally just being blown up onto a bigger stage, bigger platform. Yeah, it was mad.
And at that point of your life. So how old was you then? So right now we're up to the stage just before you walk on the stage of BGT. How old would you have been then?
So that stage was a pre-record, which was in like Feb 2010.
Okay.
And I was 18. And then I turned 19 in the March, like 18, 19.
Okay. So at that point, 18-year-old Ashley, did you know that you was gay at that point in your life?
Yeah,
you knew?
Yeah, fully.
And was it a secret within yourself?
Yeah, full secret. Nobody knew at that point.
At 18,
not one person.
Okay.
I never spoke about it ever in my life.
So you were going onto the biggest TV show in England, and you had this sort of secret within you that you knew obviously was going to come out at some point, because that's part of who you are, you know. And you were keeping that inside you. And did you ever feel like, whilst you were going on BGT and doing all this sort of incredible stuff and being in the public eye, did you feel like there was ever a point of like, I need to say my story now, I need to say who I am now, or did the dance come first?
Yeah, the dance come first.
Okay.
And at that point, as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old Ashley who was gay, I was never saying that. Like, I wasn't going to be gay for the rest of my life in my mind at that time.
Okay.
Like, I thought it was going to change.
Yeah.
And if I, like, slept with girls or whatever, I'd be like, oh, I'm not gay anymore. I'm
Yeah.
straight. And it's fine. So what's the point in telling people now? Because it ain't going to be true anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point I was at that time. Like, and because my life was just dance, I swerved that subject at all times. Nobody could ever talk to me about that. Because I'd be like, toilet, I need to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
I need to go get some food.
Yeah, and at that point, Ashley going on BGT, biggest stage probably in the world, to be honest, because that was the biggest show in the world at that point. Literally. You look at it now, it's all over the world, and I guess that was a secret you was holding within you. Looking at it from an outsider's point of view, that's kind of the last place you'd want to like come out as gay. And I feel like even back then it wasn't as accepted as it even is like right now.
No
like
way.
If someone went on BGT this season and said, I'm gay, like I'm a dancer,
like, this is amazing.
But back then, being from South East, we spoke about this before, but the area we grew up in, it's not really a safe place to come out as gay.
No.
And as an 18-year-old boy who's just been in the spotlight, you come out as gay, you then go back to Thamesmead the day later, everyone knows who you are.
No.
It's a hard place. So so then your time on BGT, how was that? Like, as you do auditions, you get through, you progress through the competition, like, how was that, like, performing and stuff in front of so many people? Like, you just said you performed in front of sort of small crowds and wowed them, so you knew you was good at what you did. And you knew your connection with Glen was amazing. How was that then going on to, like, national stage?
Yeah, it was mad. Like, I was proper nervous. I was speaking to someone about this the other day, because I get really nervous when I go on stage now. Like, if I've not performed for a month or two and then I go do a gig, I'm like proper nervous. Like, my stomach is doing knots and everything. But back then it was that feel of like, I'm 18 and you know when you just don't care, like a proper 18-year-old and you're like, yeah man, I'm sick. And you just go out on stage and you just do your thing and everyone's like, whoa, and you're like, yeah.
Well, I heard a quote yesterday and it said, youth is wasted on the young. And I love that, because if you can look back now, it's wasted, isn't it? Your
fully.
youth was wasted because you were young. And like that arrogance, like I had it, like I've said to you before, like I was in a band and we toured and we done all this, and like I look back and I was like jumping into the crowd and I didn't care like what I looked like and what I did, and it was wasted because I was so young. And it's almost a shame, like you wish you could carry that on into your
it's mad.
adult
It's not
life.
fully wasted because you've done it, do you know what I mean? And it was amazing, but to have that same, like, I don't know if attitude is the right word, but that same
like arrogance,
attitude, but have it now. But it's mad. But at the same time, we were very nervous because the same thing I said earlier about we thought we were funny and we'd done it to our school, our college performance, and they thought it was funny. We're now rocking up to the Hammersmith Apollo, 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 seater, and you've got Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden and Piers Morgan at the time, all on like the original judging lineup. We have to impress them and the whole like Hammersmith Apollo, and they have to think Cheeky Girls is funny. Do you know what I mean? So I like we did have that moment again of like, and because it was TV and nobody had really done the street dance and the comedy. It was like Flawless just killed their piece with just sick dancing, and they were fire. But we had never done or nobody had ever done like the comedy element to it, which was just pure personality. So I was nervous about like, oh, if we'd done that, like would they think that part was going to ruin the dance? Because, oh yeah, you're good dancers, but the comedy, like, it's not really funny. So I was nervous about that. But as soon as we started and we got past, can't remember what our first joke was, it might have been Cheeky Girls, and we'd done it and everyone was laughing and cheering. Like I just felt the energy from the whole Hammersmith Apollo. And I was like, I remember at that point in the dance feeling like, oh,
we're going to do this.
I can relax now.
Yeah, well, I remember your piece back in the day, and like, it's so British. Like when you look at it, the comedy and the jokes and the humour. And how do you think, like in your career, that's resonated with like abroad? Has it resonated with people abroad in America? And
no, it's funny because we did in 2012, 2013, we went to China and we done a street dance TV show in China where we were the celebrity judges. And we had to perform as special guests, and we were thinking like rehearsing before we went out there, and we're like, are they gonna get our like humour and like comedy and things like that? And I remember we had to change a few things because like EastEnders in China isn't running. Do you know what I mean? Like, doom, 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 doom. Like that's not gonna happen. So we changed certain things, but then we could replace EastEnders with doing like a dance to the Friends sitcom theme song, because Friends is like global, do you know what I mean? So we change it with things like that. But I would say, yeah, we are very adaptable.
yeah,
But I feel like you said, that first Twist and Pulse piece we made
it's British.
was so British.
Yeah.
Like we just done it. It was literally like our life and our personality and our interest into a dance piece for a perfect TV show like Britain's Got Talent. Even though we didn't make it for BGT, like even with the costume thing and the red and blue, please know none of that was planned. Like before, a few other shows we did leading up to the audition just to get a bit more confident as a duo, we were just picking random clothes but just going with the opposite. So I think one show I wore like a yellow polo top and Glen was like, oh, I'll just get like this pink one because that's the opposite kind of colour. And then was like, oh, shall we do red and blue? I was like, oh, let's do red and blue. I think we did black and white. And it just happened to be when we did BGT, we just chose red and blue that day, not thinking
Really?
Red and blue BGT, it's like the Great Britain flag, red, white and blue. And I remember one of the producers on the day was like, loving the costumes, BGT themed. And we were like, oh. Like, was just sitting there in like these red and blue outfits. I was like, oh, okay, this is like,
that's amazing.
It was all just happening, do you know what I mean?
And then where did Twist and Pulse come from, as in the name?
This is mad. So the name, our nicknames, tag names.
Tag names. And what does tag names mean in South London terms?
Yeah, South East London tag names. It's like, I don't know why, but you would know.
Yeah.
Cameraman Joe will know. But it's like, we all had tag names, which is basically a nickname. A graph name, if you was bad enough to graph on the wall. I never actually did that, I'm just saying. Yeah, my dad was too hard on me. He's like, if you ever... But so it was just that. So you all had your own like tag name, street name, whatever. And my brother Oliver, my older brother, his tag name was Twist, Oliver Twist. And all of his mates just used to call him, yeah, Twist, Twist, Twist. Then obviously when I got to of a certain age and I was hanging about and started chilling with my mates and all that, and we started MCing and a few people already had their names and stuff like that, I was like, oh, what can my name be? Like, and I was trying to think of a name for ages, and I think I had Spike, the name Spike, for like a week, because I had like spiky hair at the time, or like gelled. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go with Spike. And then I think it lasted like a week, and then someone randomly was just like, oh, Younger Twist. And I was like,
because they know your brother.
Yeah, because he was my brother, and we look a lot like the same person, to be fair. Like, our looks are pretty much the same. And they were like, Younger Twist, why not Twist? And I was like, oh, okay. And then just from that moment, it stuck. And that was when I was like 13, literally as young as that.
Yeah.
So that's why my name was that. And then it just carried on up until I met Glen. And Glen's obviously got his own story, but his nickname and tag name happened to be Pulse.
Yeah.
Just from like one of his old dance teachers from back in the day said, yeah, the way you freestyle and that, it was quite like pulsey, like he was doing like that, this heart palpitation kind of things. And his nickname was just Pulse, and we met. And we didn't even know really of our nicknames at that point. But it was one of our shows we did just before BGT for a bit more like experience. We've done a few like open mic nights, like comedy nights.
Yeah.
But one of our friends at the time got us on the gigs just to open up the night. And the host come backstage and was like, "Hey boys, like you're up next. Like, what should I introduce you as?" And we were like, "Oh, I don't know. Like we don't have a name." He was like, "Well, I've got to introduce you." And he's like, "Oh, what's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Twist." He's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Pulse." He was like, "Next up is Twist and Pulse." And everyone was like, "Oh." And
There
we were
it
like,
is.
And we're like, "Oh, that actually sounds
Yeah,
good."
that's been
And
creative.
literally from that moment, it was just like, "Oh, we should just be called Twist and Pulse," innit? And we've done the BGT online application
Twist
form.
and Pulse.
And it was like, act name was just like, "Oh, let's put Twist and Pulse." And it
That's so
literally,
cool.
like, yeah, that was it.
It got created for you.
It actually did.
Yeah. What a beautiful story. I love stories like that. That just, it was just meant to be.
Yeah,
Do
and
you know
it's
what I
mad
mean?
because I'm a huge believer of stuff like that, you know,
Yeah, it was
like
just
the
meant
whole
to be.
like brick school moment, and like, yeah, met Glen and his name was Pulse. Like one of us could have had this really, like, could have been Spike,
Yeah.
Spike and Pulse.
Yeah. It's not working, is it? It's
not working at all.
Or you could have gone in like pink and yellow.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't have worked. So.
Honestly, I guarantee if we wore pink and yellow, we wouldn't have done as well.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Like people like voting, they've been like, they're being pink and yellow. No, I'm not voting for them.
Yeah. So then from that point, you're on BGT, you're 18 years old, and then how many years later was it that you won like the winner's winner competition?
Yeah, so it was 9 years later.
9 years later.
Yeah,
Wow.
we did BGT.
Where did that time go?
2010.
Wow.
And become runners up, become second, which still
Okay. And who won that?
blows my mind. It was a gymnastics group called Spellbound.
Okay.
Incredible. Like
Yeah.
it was sports acrobatics gymnastics.
Okay.
And
how,
like balancing.
How did you feel then after that moment coming second? Like obviously it's an incredible achievement,
insane.
but
Like we were, I remember like Ant and Dec were, I think they revealed the top three, and they said our name, and I remember whispering to Glen like, "We come top three." Like
We've already won.
Yeah, we've already won. Like we've
Yeah.
come top three. This is mad. And then I remember they announced drummer Kieran Gaffney. He come third. They announced him as third, and then I've been like, "What?" Like we're basically second now or first. Like this is mad. Like whatever the outcome is insane. And the 10 finalists, if you got through to the final back then, you got to do the Britain's Got Talent tour,
nice.
arena tour, like O2 Arena.
wow.
And I was just like, yeah, we've already won, to be fair,
Yeah.
because we're performing at O2 Arena. And then we come second. And then, champions was a whole 9 years later.
And the Ashley, from that moment to winning the winner's winner, like I've seen the clips, everyone's seen the clips of like you in the original BGT, and then you winning the winner's winner, and your lovely partner Liam's there and celebrating, and so from that moment to then being the winner's winner, tell me that journey of Ashley sort of finding himself and coming out and finding an amazing partner. From that point to that point, like it's such a long period of time.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
But you still stuck with Twist and Pulse, and it's incredible that like 9 years later you're still relevant in your work, but like in your personal life it feels like so much has changed from then.
Oh,
like,
totally, yeah, a lot had changed. And so like I didn't come out until 2014. So from that BGT 2010 stage, I still had a further 4 years of fully fighting it, hiding it, like not telling Glen, like everything, just hiding it on all the jobs and gigs we did, contracts, China, Olympics, everything. We just completely I just hid it from him the whole time. And then it wasn't until 2014 when it got to a point of I can't do this anymore. Like.
And how old was you then? Like roughly?
Quick maths, I'm not good at maths. I think I was like 23, 24.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is quite late really to come out and admit your sexuality and but it's weird because I was fully prepared to never come out.
Really?
Yeah, it's mad, and it's mad talking about it now because I'm so comfortable in my skin. I've still got room to grow and stuff and find out more about myself, but yeah, it was just it was never a possibility for me. I could never see myself living as a gay man, like openly ever. It was so locked in from such a young age of hiding it, because I knew I was gay from young, and I was just like going through every year of my life, every birthday, every dance competition, like whatever I did in my teenage years, then into early 20s, me and Glen done BGT, come second, it became my full-time job. We were performing every day, every single day at gigs, 2-3 gigs a day, loads of girls around us performing in clubs, freshers, like everything. And I was just fully like, just lying, yeah, the whole time, just like swerving every conversation to do with like girls. I remember my brothers speaking to me. I'm one of 5 brothers, and I remember them all speaking to me at different points, even my younger brothers, like, there must be so many girls. And I was like, yeah, but you know, like, it's busy. My main excuse from my twist and pulse work life becoming my permanent job was, I'm so busy, I haven't got time for girls. Like, so busy. And Glen was in a relationship at the time with his girlfriend before he did BGT. So he was like partnered up already. So we didn't have no motive of like, after the gig, we're going to go into the club and party and drink till 4 a.m. and like chat to girls. Like, so I kind of got out of it easily because Glen was already in a relationship, and I just used that excuse of like, yeah, man, I'm tired, we need to go back because we've got a gig the next day in Newcastle. And do you know what I mean? So yeah, it just, it took me a long time to basically come out. And yeah, it just got to a point when it wasn't healthy. I was hitting my lowest of lows. Like, I wasn't happy. And as you said, like at the start of the interview, like my personality is very like bubbly and warm, and I bring energy, and I've always been like that. And I'm aware of it now. So for me, like for Ashley to not be on top form and come with his energy, like something's wrong. Do you know what I mean? And it was getting really, really hard to hide that. So yeah, I come out obviously in 2014, and then I met Liam like 5 months after I come out to my mum.
So just go into detail a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind, about like, how was that moment when you came out, like that first time you almost said it, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of viewers watching who maybe thinking about coming out and deep down know that they're gay, and like they don't know how to initiate that conversation. And like one of my best friends is gay, and he came out to me, and I'll sort of explain that story after yours. But what was your experience like with like that initial moment where you was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna say it? What was that first breakthrough moment for you?
Yeah, it was mad. Something happened that I actually can't talk about, which is a shame, because one day I will. But something happened that was so bad that I actually had no choice. I had no choice. Like, I had to tell somebody, and it had to be my mum. Like, do you know, you get them times when it's your mum you have to tell. You have to go to your mum at that point. Like, I couldn't go to anyone else. It had to be her. And yeah, like, I had no choice. Like, it was just mad. I had to completely get it off my chest and basically explain it. But it was like, it was 2 things. It was the thing that happened. I know this sounds really mad because I can't tell you what it is,
okay.
But it was the thing that happened. I had to tell her the thing that happened, but to tell her that, I had to admit that I was gay.
But even as you're explaining this now, like, it almost sounds like you're in a bit of a panic, and it's like, it's a bad thing, but being gay is like,
oh, I know,
it's not a bad thing, but you're like, I've got to tell my mum, and I had to tell her that I'm gay. Whereas actually, like, how mad is that when you look back at it now?
Yeah,
that,
it's
like,
crazy.
That like you was ever so worried, and that was a part of what you had to tell her, was that you was gay, and that was also another worry added on. Whereas
totally.
you look back at it now and how happy you are and how complete you are as a human, being a gay person. Whereas back then, like, you would never have had to worry about
Nah.
coming out as gay. And like,
Nah.
if you would have eliminated, so this is another thing, like if you would have eliminated the fact that you were gay, right, in that situation that you were going through, which I'll never make you sort of delve into, but if you eliminate that fact that you were gay, would it be as bad of a situation as it was?
No way. It would have been normal. I literally would have come home from teaching a workshop or whatever I was doing and told my mum at the dinner table with my brothers and my stepdad.
And it'd be normal.
Yeah.
And how crazy is that?
Mad, isn't it?
When you look back at it and you think that...
Obviously, it still would have been like sad because of what the thing I had to tell my mum was sad, but I literally would have told her with my brothers while we're all eating dinner, just having a normal chat.
And this is something that is happening every single day around the world at the minute, is that there's these boys that are, and girls that are overcomplicating situations because of their sexuality, and how much easy, and I know it's not always as easy as like maybe how you came out, because you've got an amazing family and a great support system, and like my friend had a great family and great support system, but the fact that if you would have been like openly gay at that point, whatever you was going through and what was troubling you at that point wouldn't have been as deep as it was in your head.
Yeah, at all.
And you was hiding that secret, and it's crazy to think that that was a secret to you.
Yeah.
And it could eat people up. And
totally, man.
Just to touch on kind of like with my friend, we were 14 years old, and being like a student of Welling School from a sort of similar area, you don't come out as gay.
Never.
You don't come out as gay.
Not a thing.
It's not a thing, and especially at 14, 15 years old, that's not like a known thing. And I remember we was on a night out and we was drinking around our mate's house, as you do, fireworks, barbecue, and we went up and we was sort of like, oh, you boys go in that room, you boys go in that room. Me and my friend went into this room, we got in bed, about to go to sleep, and he was like, Jake, I need to tell you something. And I was like, okay, man, like, yeah, anything, I'm here for you. And he says, like, I'm gay, and I've, like, no one knows. And I was like, okay, that's fine, like, that's absolutely fine. And we basically laid there for ages chatting about it, and he wanted me to be the person that came with him. And at that point, I was with my missus, and it wasn't like a lot of kind of like lads at that point would be like, get out of the bed, like, why are you in the bed with a gay guy at this age? But for me, that's my friend. It doesn't matter about his sexual orientation. He was my friend, and I knew that was something that was eating him up. And it was only later down the line that he actually told me that he attempted suicide and stuff because he was hiding it, and he would be doing all these awful things just to hide the fact that he was gay. And everyone else in our group was straight. Turns out there wasn't. There was another few people that were gay in our actual group that came forward later on down the line and spoke about that. But it's so sort of firsthand, I've sort of experienced from the sideline what it's like. And I remember like going to school with him the next week and feeling so protective over him and being like...
Yeah, because what, did he still want it to be a secret in public?
He for a little while, and then he sort of slowly... It was slowly sort of like coming gradual, and I felt such a sense of protection over him because I'd been privileged with him telling me, and then like when like the bully boys find out well in school that oh, gay boy, you're the only gay kid in school he was, and I remember feeling this huge sense of protection over him, and just feeling like he was my friend, like no one talks about my friend like that, and I'd feel so sort of protective over him. And do you know what, for Welling School, like in such a rough area and such a like really kind of right wing place in the world, like he kind of got accepted, and it was amazing. And like at 14, 15 years old,
that's
like
insane
to be accepted in Welling School, like you know what that's like.
And back then, like not even now, like even now that's impressive.
And he'd hear a few comments, and I knew that he shrugged a lot off. And for you, did you have a similar experience in like being from where you're from, and you've told your family, and you're going through it, and then what was the next step for you? And did you have anyone to confide in? And like you've just come out to your mum, that was your person, you said, and then what was your next step from there? Like
from there, sorry, just firstly I want to say, like, having a friend like you for your friends, you're legendary for that. Like, to be at that age and already have that like mental like mindset of like he's just telling you the biggest thing ever in his life, and you're like, yeah, man, that's cool. Like, what else? Almost,
Yeah.
as in like you're expecting something else, and like to have that support system from another person that's similar age to him. I'm talking you're like 14, 15 at this time.
Yeah.
Like to have that, honestly, to have that open mind at that point is so incredible, man. So yeah, you should be proud of yourself for that, because you need to, well, even like you are now, like from the first time I met you here, it's like I already got your vibe within the first 5 minutes and what a lovely gent you are, do you know what I mean? And it's important to have people like yourself in the world, because he could have told one of his other friends and it wouldn't have gone down, do you know what I mean? But that's why he told you, because he knew, do you know what I mean? Which is sick. So no, that's amazing. But I think, yeah, after my mum, I made a point of telling everybody, like all my close initial circle, I made a point of telling them all myself, rather than, because I could have told my mum, oh mum, tell my brothers and that. But I made a point of telling everyone myself, because I wanted them to hear it from me. And every single time it was super exhausting. But at the same time, like, I was worried about my brothers, because they're all like lad-like and we had the best relationship and banter and everything was jokes. And in my head, I was like, if I tell them I'm gay, they're not going to like slap my ass in the same way now, because I'm gay. They might think if they slap my ass, they think I'm going to love it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you honestly think of dumb shit like that. And like, I was thinking of all of them things, and it made us even closer than we are. Like, and I didn't think that was possible, but it's like, and I made a point of telling them all after I came out to them. I said, please no, I don't want anything to change in our relationship. Like, don't feel like you can't joke around with me and slap my bum. Like, I want you to carry on doing that. And please know it got worse, like in a good way. Like, they like overdone it. Do you know what I mean? Like, to make a point of like, hey, and like we're all eating like breakfast at my dad and stepmom's house. And like my stepmom's like, oh, does anyone want like a sausage? Everyone's like, Ashley wants sausage. And I'm like, that's sick. Like, that's jokes. Obviously, it didn't. I remember the first time that happened, and like my little brother was like, "Is it too soon?"
Yeah. Well, this is what happened with our
I love
pal.
it.
Like,
it's jokes.
When we like, I'm saying we like, but Daniel sort of like told everybody, we sort of that sort of thing happened, and it was like, yeah, you'd go out to clubs and stuff, and there'd be like a good looking chap, and you'd be like, oh, like, go on, mate, like. And it's lovely, and we've still got that relationship now and stuff.
That's amazing.
And I've met like one of your brothers, and like if they're all the same as the brother I've met, then they're all incredible and like so relaxed and so chilled. And your brother's obviously just gone through having a baby as well, which is incredible. Yeah. So is it the first time uncle?
This is my second
time being uncle,
But each time it's like incredible.
Amazing. So then moving on from that, obviously, we brushed upon it earlier, but you met your partner, Liam.
Yeah, so
from that point.
Yeah, I met him probably about 5 months after coming out.
Okay.
As gay, and I remember saying to myself, there's no way I'm going to meet anyone. I didn't believe I was going to meet another man and be in a relationship and love it and like fall in love. I didn't believe it at all. So I've always had really good friendship groups, and like my brothers and my family. And I remember just saying to myself, I'm just going to settle for friends. And it kind of made me happy, and I was sad at the same time, because at this point, my 4 brothers and Glen were all in relationships, and they were like my people that I saw every single day and worked with. So it did used to hurt me, because I was like, actually, all of these people are fully like, all of them are so in love, and I haven't got that, and I don't think I'm ever going to get that. So it was sad, but I just accepted, like, I've got good friends and family, so I'll be fine, kind of thing. And then, like 5 months later, literally from that thought process, I met Liam, which is like the love of my life now. I've been with him 9 years this year. We're getting married next year.
I think another 9 years as well. There we go. 9 years is coming up as well. So you met Liam, and you had an amazing time, and you'd met each other, and when you first got together, you was fairly new to coming out at that point. Did you know at that point that it was possible to be such an incredible dad like you are
Never.
right now? It didn't even
No,
cross
wait,
your
even
mind?
at that point of our first few dates and even first few months, I remember, oh, it's awful saying it now, but I just always thought that Liam was going to be like, after one of the dates, like, oh, great date, but like, it's not for me. Because I didn't rate myself at all. Like, within like someone else finding me attractive or liking me, liking my personality and want to actually spend time with me and be with me and fall in love with me. I didn't think anybody wanted to do that with me. Like, I just didn't rate myself at all. So I was constantly, after every single date, I always used to go to him like, oh, like, are you happy with everything? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, are you happy with like what I'm like as a person and what, like, who I am? And he's like, what are you even on about? And he's like, of course, like, I wouldn't come and meet up with you and like progress things, you know what I mean? And it was that thought process for such a long time. Even when we made it official, like, and we were boyfriends, I would still check in with him like every
Really?
3-4 months. Like, oh, I'm just checking, like, you're happy
Yeah.
with everything still? And like, because obviously, you know, when you get into your relationships and you start letting your weird side out, like even weirder.
Yeah.
And like, he'd seen the full me by this point, and I was like, are you still happy?
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're
When
getting.
you're like Gollum voices coming out, like.
Yeah, all the weird stuff like that, like everything.
And
He's
how
like-
long at that point, like, so you just met Liam, how long had he been openly gay at that point?
This is a mad story. Me and Liam were doing everything at the same time. I came out to my mum 2 weeks after Liam did.
Wow.
Like, it was all happening at the same time, and we didn't really know. And then when we met, we exchanged stories, and it was all happening at the same time. Like, even when we were dating, my brother still didn't know I was gay.
Really?
No, did they? No, they did know, but they didn't know I was dating Liam. They knew
Okay.
I was gay, but
Yeah.
but we kept everything hush hush.
Yeah.
I think Liam didn't even tell. He hadn't told one of his brothers. So one day I went to his house, but his brother was coming home, and I had to hide, and all this
Yeah.
mad stuff, because it was still like
Yeah.
fresh, and we wasn't confident as gay men at all. Like, we were just like best mates, but we slightly loved each other on the side.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's sad that you had to hide it. Even still, you just come out and there's still another hurdle. You've just met someone and there's still another hurdle of now we've got to tell people that
Yeah.
we're in love and we're together. And from that point, so then you was together for, was it 9 years until
Yeah, 9 years this
till
year.
Tilly come?
Yeah,
So you become a dad
Yeah.
at 31 years old.
yeah.
And you brought a beautiful little girl into the world. And how was that, sort of posting that on social media and stuff? Because I know you're very open on your social media, especially with Tilly, and about being in a same-sex sort of relationship, and Tilly having two dads and stuff. And
Yeah.
It's beautiful to see, and I've said it to you before, but it's going to inspire millions of people
Yeah.
that they see. Like you said, with your friends on Facebook, you didn't even think it was possible.
No.
And with your amount of social media following, they're seeing it's now possible through you. So you're
Yeah.
now that person that inspired you,
Yeah.
which is incredible. But how was that moment when you shared that on social media? Like, you're not only gay, you've not only found a partner, you've now had a baby.
Yeah, it's mad.
How was that feeling when you shared that with the world?
Yeah, it was mental. Like I still, even when you're like listing it off, then it's still like going back to when I was fully saying the thing about, oh, if I was in the mindset of if I slept with girls, then I was going to be straight one day. Like, imagine feeling like that at 18, and fast forward into 2023, and I'm like happily engaged, getting married to the love of my life, and I've got a baby with him. I'm just like, honestly, if a wizard come down to me at 18 and was like, this is what your life's gonna, I would have been like, give it a rest, wizard.
Yeah.
Like, no way. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when I hear all of that, although I'm living that every day, sometimes I have to remind myself, like when I just worked on a cruise, me and Glen were performing on a cruise, and it was the first time I left Tilly. It was that feeling of like, I was really, really gonna miss her. But then I remember being on the ship, looking out just to the sea and looking at a photo of them. And I was like, I'm so lucky. Like, I can't believe Ashley, am at this point in my life when I've got all of this. Like, I'm so grateful, and I actually couldn't believe it. Like, it's insane. And sometimes I forget like how far I've come, do you know what I mean? And how happy I am now. So yeah, posting it on socials, I was just like we nearly didn't post it because we was like, actually, let's keep this private because it's like our family and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't overly keen on like showing Tilly's face at first and things like that. But it was that thing you just said. I'm now the inspiration to myself and other people that are starting to go through that and wanting advice and just wanting to see a happy family that they can fully relate to and think, actually, one day that could be me. And I've had messages since we have posted. I've had so many messages of just like, I can't believe, like, I'm so happy for you. And this has inspired me so much for me to one day, hopefully, have this myself.
Yeah.
Like, even guys, I've had guys that have messaged me that are not out as gay. And they said, see me get engaged, having a baby, and seeing all my family and friends supporting us makes them feel like it's possible for them.
Yeah.
And that is so important for me.
Yeah, one thing that I've always sort of inspired to be is, and I've always said this to people, is always try and be the adult that you needed as a child.
That's it.
And like when I was a child, I felt like I needed someone to be, I didn't know mental health existed. I didn't know like people took medication for anxiety and depression, and I didn't know that like men couldn't be fragile and couldn't cry and couldn't, and I'm trying to be the best version of myself that I felt like I needed when I was a child.
Yeah.
And hearing you say all of that, like imagine not even a child, but an adult Ashley at 18 years old, Instagram weren't even around then, but like seeing that this was possible, that you could have this life, like you are now a living, breathing version of like what you needed at that age. 100%. I think like 18-year-old Ashley, if you could look at yourself now, imagine the difference that would have made for you. So, and I think you don't give yourself enough credit in that sense, that like there are 18-year-old boys out there now like that will be watching this and going to be like, if he can do it,
I can do it.
Why can't I do it? And it's a beautiful thing, you know.
I think that's why I'm doing this now, and everything I do on my socials, or if I've got a bigger platform on TV or wherever I may be, that's why I chose to make our pregnancy and Tilly public, because yes, I'm happy and I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, I'm doing it for other people. I'm doing it for 18-year-old Ashley that is now there. Do you know what I mean? Because if I've got this platform, like, I should be using it, right?
100%.
Like, to rate, like, and that is my biggest passion and my needs. Like, I have to do it. I've got no choice of, like, I have to raise awareness and shout from the rooftops that be who you want to be, and it's all going to be okay. Like, it's so important, man, because we all need it, and we all needed it at a time when we was struggling the most. Like you saying about your friend, and he had suicidal thoughts and he used to do things, but like if he didn't have you at that time, then God knows what would have happened. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if you've got, like, I think people should be doing that in general, even if you're not on social media or you don't have a platform. You should be doing it in your workplace, in your friendship groups, in your family unit. Make yourself that person to check in on people and like encourage people if they are a little bit quirky or different, or they seem like they're struggling with their mental health. That's fine. We're all struggling with mental health. Like, it's absolutely fine. Like, you can do, like nobody's perfect. Do you know what I mean? And I'm here to help you. And that thing, like having a shoulder to lean on, and yeah, it's so important, man. So any opportunity I get like this, it's all for the younger generation. It has to be.
Would you say in your life up until this point, would you say you've had struggles with your mental health at all at any point?
So I didn't think I did until like more recent, but me holding in that I was gay for my whole life up until I was 24. Like it's been longer, me holding in who I am, longer than I've lived as a gay man.
Yeah.
So that had a toll on my mental health, and I didn't know. Because like it's so amazing, like yourself and all the things you do. It's incredible that we're all speaking about it now, and especially as men, we're all speaking about everything regarding mental health, and it's okay for men to cry, and like we like to think we're macho, and like we like hold it all together, but sometimes we don't. Do you know what I mean? And it's fine to. But I thought I was fine, but the whole keeping in my sexuality was definitely the whole thing of that was just affected me heavily, to be honest. And I had my lows when I did just think like, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Because if I'm like, I started thinking that there was actually something wrong with me. Like, how have I been made this way? Because I was made like this, you know what I mean? Like, this is me. Like, nothing happened when I was 3 years old that turned me gay. And then, oh, Ashley's gay now. Like, I was made like this. So I used to think I was just like, almost like an error. Like no one else, like my brother's not like this, my mum's not like this, my dad's not like this, nobody else is like me, why is it me? Do you know what I mean? And keeping that in to myself for such a long time, even when I was like in primary school, I knew I was gay. I knew something wasn't right when I was watching a film, and like I see like Jean-Claude Van Damme come up in like Street Fighter, and he's looking hench and fit, and I'm like, oh my God, he's so cool. But I'm like, no, he's cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually
something
like
extras.
yeah, like I'm feeling him, but I didn't know what that was at the time. But I had to hide that for such a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough, man. It was hard, but like it just feels so much better now because you can just talk out and like speak about it. And that's a lot of things mental health wise. It's most guys not speaking out. Do you know what I mean? They're suffering in silence.
And talking their truths and stuff, you know, like that wasn't the real Ashley, I guess, before you came out. That was a version of yourself that was always hiding something.
Yeah.
And as soon as you came out, I guess that was a massive relief. And
there was.
From that point on, would you say you've suffered from that point where you came out until now? Or do you feel like as soon as you came out, it was the world was your oyster kind of thing?
It's weird because you hear people say about, I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and it did feel like that when I told my mum, and then each person it did, but I didn't feel fully confident and comfortable in my own skin for like a further 7 years. Like I was in my relationship with Liam just before I was about to propose to him on our 7-year anniversary, and I still wasn't posting a photo on Instagram. Not that everything's got to be about socials, but I wouldn't post a photo of us. I wouldn't have been able to write lovely dinner with my boyfriend celebrating our anniversary, #boyfriend for life. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that because even me saying I've got a boyfriend made me feel anxious. And like, I remember I went into Halifax. Shout out to Halifax. No, I'm joking.
He's hitting
Can you imagine that Halifax brand deal? Honestly, I've banked with them for so long. No, but I remember I went into Halifax to talk about like a mortgage thing, and we was in like one of their little private rooms. And one of the questions was something about, are you moving in with like your girlfriend? And in my head, I'd been in a relationship with Liam for like 2 or 3 years, and I remember I was in my head in the space of like a millisecond. That's how quick your brain works. I remember thinking, Dave just said, are you moving in with your girlfriend? And my initial answer is no, I'm not, because I'm not. I wasn't actually moving in with Liam at the time anyway. But in my head, I was like, I've got a boyfriend, but I literally couldn't say it, and something was stopping me from being like correcting them, like, oh no, not a girlfriend, I've got a boyfriend, which is absolutely fine for me to say. Eventually, I actually said it because I think I started telling the lie, and I could hear myself like, like just like saying nothing. And I was like, why am I doing this shit? Like,
and what do you think the reason was because of that? Do you think that's deep rooted? Do you think
it is.
Do you think that's where we come from? Do you think that's family? Do you think that's is it like young Ashley not wanting to come out?
Everything you've just listed, it's all of that.
Yeah.
Because you hear so many gay people say, whenever I watch an interview of someone that's now out and they're living as a gay man and they're proud, you always hear them say, I could never say the 2 words, I'm gay. And I remember for such a long period, even when I was with Liam, I would say, for probably about 3-4 years, I couldn't say I'm gay. I couldn't say it. Liam couldn't say it. It was mad. Like whenever I was telling everyone that I was gay, like how I told my mum, my brothers, my best friend, everything, I was saying, oh, like, do you know how you like girls, yeah? Yeah, I don't really like that. That's how I told them I was gay. I could never say, I'm gay.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't, I actually, and I remember at times, even like a year later, like my brothers or someone used to say, that actually, like, just say it now, just quickly be like, I'm gay. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't say it.
Really?
Honestly, it was like someone could have been like, here's £1 million, say it. I swear to you, I couldn't have, I literally, it wouldn't have come
Really?
out, which is so mad. And I think it's all of them things you listed, like the whole upbringing thing, hiding it, family, friends, like that word haunted me for so long that I just, I couldn't say it.
And not even just on a small scale thing, you hid like the biggest part of your personality on national TV.
Yeah.
If you can hide it there, you can hide it in Halifax. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
like,
it's so mad because I remember that, like when you're saying, like I've gone on TV and I've hid it from the world. And I remember, like quite quickly after BGT aired, it was this thing of like, you can type twist and pulse in on Google, and what is it called when it guesses what is coming?
a predictor.
Yeah. But it's called something on Google. When you start typing, it says,
Like it finishes the sentence.
yeah,
for you.
it's that. Yeah. And I remember for such a long time, for years, if you typed in twist and pulse and then hit spacebar, one of the top 3 things was gay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was nothing to do with, because nobody knew I was gay, and nothing I said on TV publicly or anything. We'd never done an interview about, like, nothing come out like, oh, Ashley's gay, or like he might be gay, or he's a bit like, do you know what I mean? Nothing ever. And I remember seeing it in my bedroom at home when I lived with my mum and stepdad. And I remember it become obsessive. Every day I was going to my PC, type in twist and pulse and then spacebar, and it would be there. And I'd be like, this needs to get deleted. I don't know how I remove this, but this needs to go.
Mad.
And it was crazy. And I remember we went for like website meetings, me and Glen meeting up with people that were going to design our website at the time. And one of them started speaking about, is it SEO settings with like website? Yeah.
Push you to the top. And
Yeah. So he was talking about that, and I remember at the time I slightly knew what that was like meant and stuff. And he said, "Oh yeah, we can like really push like your website if you really wanted to sell your merch. We could make sure like merchandise come after Twist and Pulse on the Google search." And I remember really like banging on about we want to get merchandise up there, and I think I even mentioned it in the meeting, or Glen might have said it. So at the minute, one of the top 3 ones is gay, and I was like, that needs to go. And I was just fully like, like acting and just like trying to get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the extreme that I was trying to. Anything gay related I was pushing everything away. Do you know what I mean? Even if other people in the public eye were coming out, like, and someone would be, oh, what do you think about that? I'd be like, oh yeah. Like, I didn't really know what to say, because if I said, oh yeah, I think that's amazing, in my head I'm like, they're gonna think I'm gay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I literally couldn't say anything.
But that was the world back then as well.
Yeah, and it all stemmed from, that's how shallow the world is and society was at that time, because we were 2 guys dancing together on BGT, and I think it was some forum, some random old school forum online, and somebody, voice friend, somebody wrote, Twist and Pulse are amazing on BGT, so cute, who thinks they're together? And it was just completely harmless, it was fine. But people were just chatting, oh no, they're mates. And like people were saying, oh, I wish they were together, they make such a cute couple. And I think just from that forum, it just somehow become one of the things that you type Twist and Pulse on Google when it come up gay. And it was just that one website that had that information stored, you know what I mean? But I remember just doing the absolute most to try and get rid of it. But now I'm like, I want all of them to say Twist and Pulse.
But how beautiful you've got to that point in your
Honestly,
life where like you was hiding it for so long, it was the biggest thing in your life, it was consuming you, and you was trying to get rid of bloody SEOs on Google, and now you're we're on a podcast
Yeah.
talking about how amazing your life is being
Yeah.
gay and you've got a baby and like how far you can come from there, and like it's just an inspiration to many that are going to watch this. So moving forward, like what's in store for you? Because the reason I've got you on your own today as well is because I don't see you as Twist and Pulse. I see you as Ashley, and you're not just Twist and Pulse, and you've got another career and another like lifeline after Twist and Pulse, and I feel like what you're doing now, not to put a damper on Twist and Pulse at all, because that was incredible, but what you're doing now is so amazing and so inspirational, and you're sort of driving this like message to people, even though you don't mean to be, just by being yourself, by going on live and talking about, oh yeah, we put Tilly to bed and stuff like that. You're normalising same-sex parenting, and that's incredible to see. And if we could just have more of that in the world, because there's a lot more same-sex parents out there that probably are hiding in their house and hiding it. So BGT aside, Twist and Pulse aside, you've got beautiful Tilly now. You spoke about potentially having another baby in the future and stuff. Where we've spoke about 9 years twice today, so 9 years time, where can you see yourself? I know that's a bit of a mad question, but
I know,
9 years time, where can you see Ashley in 9 years time?
It's funny because I'm definitely one of these people as well that don't do like the long-term planning. So like one of my brothers, he does like a 5-year plan every year of like where he's going to be in 5 years. And I'm a type of person that just like does day by day, month by month. I've got obviously goals, like I know like my goals that I set myself this year to achieve this year. So yeah, but 9 years, whoa, like I'd be married by then, which would be amazing. Hopefully more children. And just what I said earlier, I'd like to be a spokesperson and a voice for the LGBTQ plus community. Like wherever I fall into that, like I'm here for it. Like things like this, being on podcasts, presenting, hosting, just basically raising awareness for same-sex parenting, being who you want to be, and just being happy, man. Like that's something that I'm really passionate about. I love talking to people like yourself and just chatting, and I feel like I've got a lot more to give, and I've got a lot more stories to tell. So hopefully one day I can do that, and I get a platform to do that, to reach the bigger scale, to help the younger Ashley and lots of other people, like you said earlier, that are going through that exact moment, that may be watching this now, that need that help, and they need that person to be able to be like, actually, I can do this. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, as well as that, like I'm DJing a lot more now. Like love music, always love music, as you know. But yeah, I'd love to DJ around the world. It'd be sick, and take Tilly and just have her on my back. Yeah, just bring the
cool
vibes.
Dad.
Yeah, start MCing and that all my times with me, mate.
Mate, it's amazing, and thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And like I said earlier, I'm sure you've inspired millions, and just by being yourself, you're starting a movement. That's what I feel like anyway. I've not seen anyone's doing anything like what you're doing, honestly, by just being yourself and just living your life unashamed, like you're so unashamedly yourself, and it's amazing to see, and your kindness resonates, man. So all the best. Thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Thank you so much, man.
Nice one.
It's been amazing.